All right. So, yeah, thanks everyone for joining today's webinar, and where we'll be exploring if volunteer impact is the right software for you and your volunteer organisation. So, just a little introduction from myself today, in which I'm also accompanied by the lovely Pam Ukar of Inverness Foodstuff, and you'll find out a little bit more about Pam's journey shortly afterwards. But just to begin, your co-host today. So I'm Daniel Green. I am the software sales advisor here at Better Impact, supporting small to enterprise-sized organisations across UK, Europe, and Africa, all exploring our software solutions. You can probably tell from my accent already, but I'm born and raised in Essex, UK. I have been with Better Impact for just over 4 years now, and during this time, it's been a real pleasure, helping and supporting people to achieve their goals, which is something I'm really passionate about as well. So it's just a little one from me, but I'll pass it over to you now, Pam, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you all online. As Daniel said, I'm Pam. I've been operations manager with Inverness Foodstuff since July 2021. I've done a range of different things. You can tell I'm a bit older, so I've been very fortunate to work in a number of different organisations in the public, private, and voluntary sector. But I'm basically driven by I've got a very strong belief in fairness and equality. So that's kind of my background. But happy to be here today. And apologies, I'm going to have to leave at 11:30 today.
Brilliant, no problems. Just thanks for attending today, Pam. So I know it's one of them days today, isn't it? Brilliant. So some of the benefits listed on your screen that you'll be taking away from today's webinar. Which includes common problems facing volunteer service teams. We'll have a quick program assessment of 3 questions. Why the right software tools matter. Pam's journey and tips to successfully finding software. I'll also conduct a high-level overview of volunteer impact. And stick around towards the end, because we'll have a few resources that I'll share with you all. One in particular is a link to obtain your PDU certificate. If you're not too sure what a PDU is, it's a professional development unit, sometimes referred to as a CEC, which is a continued education credit. So stick around for the end, everyone. So just some of the problems that you may come across in your daily routines, which may have even lead you to attend today's webinar. These could include maybe too much data entry, having that daunting feeling of filling out forms or spreadsheets, whether it's for personal user information or for reporting purposes. Maybe it's using disconnected tools to do your job and not having that all-in-one stop shop for your needs, or having a streamlined platform to manage all this, which ultimately leads on to not having enough time to lead and engage with your volunteers, which, as you know, can lead to a breakdown of communications or just like lack of interactions. Finding affordable tools that leadership will approve. So we all know everyone has a budget, right? And there are some affordable tools out there, and sometimes you just may have to consider, what is this costing your company in lack of software, which hopefully you can bring to the table for your leadership team to approve. And then it could be having insufficient security of your confidential volunteer data, which we all know is very crucial in this day and age of modern technology. And hopefully, Better Impact has the solution. So talking about a volunteer's data security, so protecting your volunteers' data. So how can you tell if a VMS vendor prioritizes data protection? So one easy way is to look for the ISO certification. So the ISO 27001 is the world's best known standard for information security management systems. ISO certification means that the VMS vendor respects all the best practices and principles enshrined in this international standard. Having the actual certificate rather than simply following the guidelines is an important distinction, because it means that the vendor has been audited by an independent body once a year to make sure all them standards are being met. and you'll be pleased to know that we are one of these vendors with ISO 27001, and we are also Cyber Essentials certified. So just got a few questions here for you guys to respond. Feel free to put your answers in the chat box, and we'll start off with question 1. So which problem resonated with you the most from the last slide? Was it number 1, too much data entry? Number 2, using too many disconnected tools to do your job? Number 3, not enough time to lead and engage with your volunteers? Number 4, affordable tools that leadership will approve? Or is it number 5, insufficient security of your confidential volunteer data? I'll just give you 30 seconds just to put your answers in the chat box. It could be that you have more than one. Feel free. If it could be all of them. There we go. Sophie started off 1, 2, and 3. Elaine's put number 4, affordable tools leadership will approve. Hannah Valentine, number 2 and 3. And Sarah from NCC, 1 and 2. Janice Crow, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, so does seem to be a common trend from previous webinars that the top 3, 1, 2, and 3 seems to be the case with everyone. Brilliant. Thanks for that, everyone. Question 2. How are you managing your volunteers currently? Is it number 1, spreadsheets? Number 2, AVMS, which is a volunteer management software? Or is it number 3, something else? And feel free, if it is answer 2 or 3, to put in as well what it is you're using. Spreadsheets and Salesforce. Yeah, I've known from previous webinars as well that spreadsheets, number 1, does seem to be the most common answer here. Sophie's put 1 and 3. CVCRM and Outlook. Tudor Westwards put 1 and 3. Number 1 mainly. Again, yep, number 1 leading the way there. Thanks, everyone. And then question 3. In your opinion, what's most at risk if a change doesn't occur sooner rather than later? Is it number 1, volunteer turnover disengagement? Number 2, staff turnover disengagement? Number 3, wasted money? Number 4, damage to organisations or programmes' reputation? Or is it 5, something else? Again, I'll give you 30 seconds now. Joe from Salisbury District Hospital, 3 and 4. Yeah, wasting money. Sophie Kelly's 1, 2, and 3. Seems to be a multiple answers today, which is good. It's probably why led you to look into volunteer impact today. Hannah Valentine, 1 with a little bit of 3 and 4. Yeah. And Elaine Black, 4 and 5, wasted time because of insufficient existing systems. Tudor, number 3, wasted time and equals wasted money. Yep, absolutely. And carrying together 1, 2, 3, and 4. Brilliant. So more than half of all employees are unhappy at work because of the software tools they're using. So, well, 51.95% says yes. Have you ever become dissatisfied at work due to missing or mismatched software? Just to let you know as well, these stats have come from G2's 2019 State of Software Happiness Report as well. This is quite an alarming stat. So about 1 in every 8 employees has actually quit a job because of mismatched software as well. So that's quite alarming. So let's get you working with the tools that make you feel less frustrated and rather more empowered and productive when you do your job. Now I'm going to pass it over to Pam, who achieved just that. So over to you, Pam. Hopefully your connection's still okay.
Yeah, hopefully you can all hear me. If the bandwidth appears to be low, I'll make a video, but we hopefully seem to be okay just now. I should also say one of our workplaces is a church we use, so there's a mother and toddlers group on, so you might hear some singing in the background. Not very good singing, I have to say, so hopefully not. So Inverness Food Staff, we're a charity established in 2014. We're actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary on the 10th of November this year. We provide 3-course lunches, and that's using predominantly surplus food from supermarkets, along with a range of other services and support for homeless and vulnerable people. We have 2 locations. Elaine from the Black Isle there. It's lovely to see somebody else from the Highlands of Scotland. So we're in Inverness city centre, and we work also from a housing estate. And between our 2 locations, we provide over 1,200 lunches every month. We have 3 staff members, that's 2 full-time and 1 part-time member, and we've got over 80 amazing volunteers, and they're involved in every aspect of the operation. So they collect, they prepare, they cook and serve the meals we provide. So as well as provide other support like admin support and just general support like taking cardboard to the recycling centre or whatever. So yeah, next slide please, Daniel.
Yep.
So we were using, we were using spreadsheets like the majority of you, and I just remember thinking this is such, an inefficient way to do things. So, I just, if you do rotas, I'll just, we used to email out to everybody once a month and say, or, 1 month and say, right, in June, right, we're now collecting, we now need names for July. Can you let us know if you can do it? So you'd have to go through all the emails, then you'd have to, mark people onto the rota, then you'd have to email back out the full rota, and then somebody would change and you'd have to email back out again. And, just because we were using, spreadsheets and Gmail, I think everybody got the emails. So, which not everybody, people don't want to be getting emails, constant emails from us. So it really was inefficient. Not to mention, having to input all the volunteer applications. It was, and I mean, I have, one of my jobs is to find funding for us, and sometimes I need to be able to say the volunteer numbers that we, I would have to manually count them. So it was just totally impractical what we were doing. And I remember thinking, well, there must be something better out there. Do you know what I mean? And so I started looking, I think in 2022, just to see, what was available. So next slide, please, Daniel. So, and you can see, I mean, there, so these are just some of, as part of this, exercise, Daniel asked me just to look at what time we were spending on some of the things we were doing. And, it equates about 12 hours a week. Sometimes that would be less, sometimes that would be more, but just, doing what needed done, every week. And, if you work with volunteers, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, from the in-person training to, and, I noticed somebody asked a question about training. I mean, one of the things I like about Better Impact is there's a document library. So all our, either so people can find information about the role they're doing or the tasks they're doing. So, everything's in one place, which was rather, you'd be emailing out stuff, or it was just, let's say, very inefficient. Typing in applications, and then, that would go into the spreadsheet. The other thing that used to drive me nuts was we'd say like we had 100 volunteers, but how many of these were active? People sat on that spreadsheet for a long time. It didn't mean to say they're actually doing anything. So, so that it was all the things like that, as well as what, let's say, one of the things you want to do is keep you want to keep your volunteers. So you need to make your volunteer experience as positive as possible. And that's from when they sign up to, to engaging with them regularly. So, let's say we started to have a look just to see what was out there. Next slide, please, Daniel. Okay, so let's say I started looking about 2022. I just went online because I didn't know if anything existed. Basically, I found a few different companies, including Better Impact. There was, we'd actually, I found different ones, had a quick look at prices as well. We're a charity, I can't afford to be paying huge sums. Do you know what I mean? Let's say we raise, have to raise funds all the time. So it had to be affordable, but it had to be able to meet our needs as well. So we found 3. One I initially really quite liked because it was a not-for-profit organisation. action was just useless, and that I thought that, you know, that's not going to work for us. I need to have a system that I can rely on. That's that, you know, when you want to contact people, you can. So, you know, we looked at three. I shortlisted three, and myself and Michelle, who's our admin volunteer, and she also does a wee bit of paid work for us as well, or contracted work. She and I just met with the different people, and we went, you know, including Better Impact, obviously, and just went through what was on offer, you know, and how we would do particular things to meet the needs, because it was obviously important it met the needs of, you know, Inverness Food staff. We got a free trial, which we were very happy to take up from Better Impact. And that helped, because then you could start to see how it would work, how it wouldn't work. I then wrote a paper for our board, because we've obviously got a trustee board. You know, laying out the costs, the practicalities of, you know, what we thought was practical, etc. And we then took a decision to go with Better Impact. So next slide, please, Daniel. So why did we go with Better Impact? Well, you know, it's like I say, our volunteer experience has improved 100%. So right from, you know, from people signing up, you know, they get an online link, so they're immediately get into Better Impact. So immediately they can see, they can get access to all the job descriptions of our volunteer roles, all the task descriptions. You know, they get an automated, as soon as somebody signs up, I get an email, so I can respond immediately, say, you know, we've got templates ready. So it's a very smooth process. There's, you know, for both for us, but also for volunteers signing up. The other thing, I mean, just, you know, I talked about the rota earlier on. I mean, the process, you know, now, so, you know, volunteers have an app which they download, and we produced a training guide which Better Impact give me some information. So I, you know, because not all our volunteers are maybe that IT literate. But, you know, and even if there is problems with that, and we do have a couple of volunteers, one who doesn't have a smartphone, one who's, you know, got IT literacy issues. So we just sign up, we can sign up for them. So there's no issue getting over these kind, you know, if you've got volunteers who, you know, who maybe might struggle to use an app on occasions. But, you know, they can go onto the app, and, you know, now what they do is they go onto the app and they basically book their shift. Now, we still approve the shift because it's important to us, because we might get, you know, maybe like we need 4 cooks on a regular session. We might get, you know, like 4 cooks signing up who are not that experienced, so we wouldn't necessarily put them together. So we still approve the shifts. So until we approve it, and then they get an email, it goes onto their schedule so they can see in their app. The other thing, they get a reminder, so it reminds them when their shift is. Do you know what I mean? So, which is really helpful. So they can, you know, one of the things I mean, our shifts are on for the year. So just to tell you, on our Tuesday and Thursday shift for front of house, I've no vacancies until August on our front of house shift. So that's, you know, shifts people like doing. So I still have vacancies sometimes on a Saturday. But one of the benefits I really find about using you know, Better Impact is because, like, if, like, say for example, like this morning, classic smart, you know, of course I'm busy this morning, things on, we had a cancellation this morning, so somebody's phoned in sick. So straight on to Better Impact, and rather than send an email out to all volunteers, I can just select anybody who's a volunteer cook, and there's an immediate email goes out saying, urgent, I'm needing somebody in the kitchen at Hilton today, can anybody help? So rather than bombarding everybody with emails, it's just one person who gets, you know, the people who are cooks who get that. The other thing I found a real benefit was because you can insert their first name. So my email went out this morning, it'll say, dear, you know, Jessie, whatever, and underneath I always say to all volunteer cooks, you know, we're urgent, can you help today? We've had a, you know, cancellation. I found that more people are likely to respond to the email because I've named them, whereas before you send out, it was to all volunteers because you just had a Gmail list. So I found that really helpful. So that, you know, that's been a really useful thing for us. The other thing, I mean, just, you know, so the volunteer experience is, you know, that all their information they need is in one place, from the recruitment right through to, do you know what I mean, them signing up for shifts, is all much better. And I did a volunteer survey last year, and the majority came back and said they prefer using the system. So, you know, I think it was over, I think it was 79%, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a high number. So I know it works from the volunteer perspective. The other thing I really like about it, so, you know, as well as efficient, you know, we're much more efficient, obviously, but it's accurate reporting. So I now can get, do you know what I mean? I can last year we did 8,431 volunteer hours. That was our volunteers that they gave to us, which is fantastic. Now, before, I used to sit and go through, try and work out manually how many hours they were doing, because I need that information for like funders, or, you know, for the trustee board or whatever. Now, just at the touch of the button, I can find that information. I talked earlier about, you know, people can languish on your list and they're not doing anything. And one of the things I did with Thomas, who's one of Daniel's colleagues from Better Impact, he set up a custom report for me. So when I can just run this report and I can see if somebody's not been active in 3 months. So that allows me to immediately start contacting them and saying, are you still interested in volunteering with us? Is there something wrong? Now, the other thing, which is really good, is you can make them inactive. So we know life gets in the way. So, you know, some people have caring responsibilities, or they might have, you know, there's all kinds of, you know what I'm talking about. So, and they maybe just can't volunteer for a while. So rather than stop altogether, we can make them inactive. They go into, their status changes to inactive, and we're not bombarding them with emails, and they're going to come back after 3 months, you know, whenever what's happening in their life is, you know, which is nice, because if they leave, you know, there's a good chance they won't come back. But if they're inactive, and, you know, I can still contact them if need be, and sometimes I just do that, just say, how's things going? Do you know what I mean? Because I know who's in that inactive list. The other thing I really like is, you know, when you archive a volunteer, you give the reason why. I can now see, which, you know, why, you know, we've got 81 volunteers at the moment. We've got, I think, about 8 inactive because for reasons they need to take a break. We have got 4 applications in process and 1 application outstanding, but we've got 70, I think just over 70 archived, and that's people who have left. I can just open that and I can tell you the reason why they've left. And a lot of it's because they don't start. Do you know what I mean? That was a real eye-opener to me. You know, something like 27% is because they never start. And, you know, that's, you know, that what I'm doing is managing to, you know, collate information which basically informs how we go forward and how we can maybe do things better in the future, you know, from the data we're getting. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's, you know, I found it, you know, it's changed the way we work, I have to say. Do you know what I mean? It's much, you know, let's say, I can't emphasize enough, the volunteer experience was just, you know, that's my key thing, is about the volunteer experience. But from an organisation point of view as well, I just think it's, you know, it's worked so much better. So I think I'll probably stop there, because I can go on and on, but and I hope I didn't speak too fast. I do have a tendency to speak a bit fast. I am have to go off just now. I'm really sorry about this. I've got a funeral to go to, but I've said to Daniel, I'm happy if anybody's got questions, you know, for him to pass on my details. I'm happy to have a chat with you individually if you want. Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that, Pam. So thanks. I know it's one of them hectic days for you. But no, thank you. I'll let you go now. So thanks again for co-hosting today, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Okay, I need to leave now. I can't remember where to leave. Where am I leaving? Wait. Leave. I'll turn this.
Brilliant. Excellent. So just to finish up on Pam's kind of software journey, leads me to the results page. So as you can see on your screen, this is the results, or return of investment, you know, now using Better Impact. So savings, 632 hours the year. Value of staff time saved, you know, just under 11,000 for the year. And return on investment of software, 1,462%. So that's some pretty good turnaround figures. But yeah, so what we'll do now, I'll share my other screen and we're going to jump into a high level demo of volunteer impact. Bear with me while I just change screens. Yep, excellent. Thanks everyone. So I've logged in now. This is the dashboard of Better Impact. So when you log in as an administrator, this is the screen you're presented with. But what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to jump in and show what it's like to advertise all your activities and your general interests and make this public. So first of all, I'm going to show you what we call a public page. So as I mentioned, this is like an advertising page or a landing page that you would create from our software. You'll generate a link from this and you'll add this to your website. And this is where you're going to drive for recruitment as well. So at the top here, I'm using my demo account, Example City Museum, but this at the top is what we call the banner. So this will be branded by your organisation. You can even customise the colour of the tabs and the fonts just to match your kind of company colours. On this public page, you'll be able to create a news feed. So everyone that logs into your website will be able to see this news feed. You'll be able to showcase your general interests, which are more like want ads. So they're slightly different to the activities. These are just fields of interest that the applicants are interested in. So these could be things like administration, boards and committees, fundraising, community development, guest services. But you can also display and advertise your actual activities as well. And then right at the bottom, we've got something called a mission statement. So you can just say a little bit about your organisation, and this will appear here at the bottom on your public page. And then just up back at the top, you've got social media feeds with X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook. So you can share all your social medias on this page as well. Now, if I'm interested and I want to volunteer with your organisation, I'm just going to click here on fill in application form. And that will take me to a page like this. If I just log in. When we're going to fill out application form, there's kind of two steps I have to go through as an applicant to apply with your organisation. So first of all, step one is I'm presented with this screen. On this screen, this is where I'll have to register with the My Impact page account. What the My Impact page account is that volunteer login portal. So this portal allows the volunteers, it's their own profile, their own kind of profile portal. It allows volunteers to update their personal information. They'll be able to sign themselves up for any activities that you would have created as an administrator, and they'll also be able to log their hours and any feedback fields as well. So in order to register, I'll just have to create a username, email address, and my actual address to proceed to the next stage, which would be the application form. So I've already got one, so I'm just going to fill in here. As you can see on the screen, you can also add like a volunteers policies box here as well, so you can add any links. So if any applicants need to read some policies before they apply, you can pop it in this box here. You can also have like one of them little check boxes to say they have read and agreed to the volunteer policies before they proceed to your application form. There we go, which could look something like this. So again, this is all customized by your organization. There's your banner at the top. So not only can you brand your public page, but you'll also be able to brand your application forms. There's a general availability chart. So your applicants, upon application, can pick and choose their availabilities. These are what we call the general interests. So they're current volunteer opportunities. You can add qualifications. So these are all the qualifications that you would add that you need upon application. You can add expiry dates to these qualifications as well. And then the additional info is what we call the custom fields. So this is just all that general information that you need to gather from an applicant. Okay, so custom fields, I like to call them your customized data collecting questions. Could be anything, you know, you can even group these into categories. We've got an about you category. What languages can you speak? References, you know, emergency contact information. You can also manipulate what type of answers you want with custom fields as well. So you've got things like drop-down menus, you've got date fields, number fields, you've got long text, short text boxes, you've got check boxes as well, and also a file upload as well. So if I do need to gather something like a CV or a driver's license upon application, choose the file upload, and that will give the applicant the opportunity to download a file. Once I've completed that application form, I'm going to submit it here, and I'm going to land in your Better Impact account automatically. So if I go back to the dashboard, so going back to recruitment stage of things and the onboarding. So once I have submitted that application form, I've already created that My Impacts page account. So it's already created that profile, and I'm going to land in the status here as an applicant. So these statuses, as it is an end-to-end VMS, where you manage your volunteers right from the beginning to the end of their journey, they're going to land in any of these statuses. Okay, so the first one, once they do complete your application form, they're going to land here as an applicant, and they will stay here until you determine where they go next, depending on your screening process. You've then got the in-process status. So these are all volunteers that are currently under review. Maybe they're just waiting, or they're just waiting for you to approve a qualification or a custom field, because you can set permissions with qualifications and custom fields as well. So you can have private, which is great for EDI sensitive information that only is for admin eyes only. You've got read only, read write with approval, and read write without approval. So obviously anything with approval will be flagged up here. And once I've been approved, you can then move them to the accepted status. So that's all your current active volunteers. And then these last two statuses, as Pam was mentioning, you have got the inactive status. So if you do know one of your volunteers is having a break from volunteering, maybe medical, maternity leave, or just having a holiday, you can make them inactive. I like to call this the leave of absence status. So, everyone that's taken a break, but at some point will return back to your program. That's the inactive, and you can determine whether they're going to be short-term or long-term. And then you've got archived. So there we go. So this is everyone that's moved on, resigned, other, didn't start. So as Pam mentioned previously, she found this tool of great use, and she can see already they're the ones you can start, and you can also pull out all sorts of reports on these statuses as well. Going back to the statuses, I'm just going to show you what an applicant profile looks like. So all you need to do, if you want to check out your applicants, I've got 4 applicants here in this bubble or this circle. Click on the number, and it will bring me to them 4 applicants. So I'm just going to choose Will Balderson. I want to check out his profile. So here's Will's applicant profile. Okay, so he's uploaded a profile picture. You've got a quick snapshot of some contact information. He's put on there his emergency contact information. There's no history yet, obviously, because he's in an applicant status. And you can just go along. You can communicate with Will. You can assign him, but obviously he's an applicant status, so you probably wouldn't want to do that just yet. You can see his schedule and hours, and I'm going to show you what an accepted volunteer profile will look like shortly as well. If I go back here to the main tab, we've got these sub tabs underneath. Excuse me. So here I can see all of Will's contact information. I can see his custom fields, so what he's filled in. So these are all his answers upon the application form. His qualifications. So he's already put in, we had this as a drop-down menu on the age range, 21 years or older. How much can you comfortably lift? 50 pounds. You can see which general interests he selected. So administration, fundraising, guest services, and special events. There's his general availability. So he looks like his preferable time of day will be evenings and nights. And then you've got a miscellaneous tab here as well. If I go back to let's say the qualifications tab here. Let's say I need him still to complete his background check or his DBS background check. As you can see here, because these will be all your qualifications that you would have had here. This one's left empty. So I actually need him to still complete that. I could just send Will a quick email. So click on communications. Something we've got that's a real time saver, something called email templates. So if there's some emails that you generally or frequently use all the time, type it at once, save it as an email template, job done. Okay, so if I select once, I want to chase up to see that if he's still willing to get his background check over to us, then all I need to put here is background check still needed. So again, these are one of our templates that we created. And there we go, it's all there for you. So if you remember what Pam was mentioning, you can add first name or last name placeholders into the email. This has got a first name placeholder. So this will, when the recipient receives this email, it'll say, "Hi, Will." So it just gives it that bit more of a personal touch. It's already there for him to complete his background check, send email, and job done. And then we'll just wait for him to reply to that, and then hopefully moving on to the next stage. Okay, going back to the dashboard, all I need to do is always click on this little house symbol, and it will take me back to the dashboard. And on it, as I mentioned, you will get some system alerts that will flag up as well. So as I mentioned, if you have got the permission settings with approval, so anything like a custom field or a qualification will pop up here for you as an admin to approve or even reject that custom field or qualification. And this is really cool that, as I mentioned, you can add expiry dates to qualifications. So that's really, that's really great for auditing. If they do pop up here as expiring, that will just prompt you then just to reach out to that particular volunteer to get them to renew that qualification. As you well know, they may not be eligible now for the role they're contributing towards, and hopefully they don't fall into this category of expired qualifications. You can set hours approvals as well. If they do, they will flag up here. We've also got a really cool feature that the volunteers can use on the My Impact page. It's called a time clock kiosk. So if you have a device at the place of where they're volunteering, they will be able to, kind of like an online punching card, they can log in with their username and password and then log out once they finish that shift. And there's also a time clock kiosk express mode as well. So each volunteer is provided with a QR scan code. So again, if you have a device at the place of where they're volunteering, they can scan in using that QR scan code as well. And it will pop up here when they're on the clock. You can, as Pam used as well, when you create activities, you can have them where they do need approval from you as an admin. And if that's the case, they will pop up here as pending signups. If you have got particular activities that you do need to cherry pick who actually is contributing towards that activity. Excellent. Okay, so what we'll do now, I'm going to go over to these symbols at the top here. So these are the main symbols we're quickly going to go through today. So I'm going to start off with the people icon. So as you've seen from the onboarding and recruitment stage, volunteers will land in your account automatically. However, you can add them manually as well. If you know some people may struggle with the My Impact page, you can add them manually as well. Just select here, add a volunteer. You can add administrators. You've got unlimited administrators at your disposal as well. And you can do some quick searches as well. So if I just check the search tab here, it's going to bring me to like this filtering page. Let's just say I want a quick list of all my, let's say, inactive short and long term volunteers. There we go. I can add a granular search to this. However, I'm just going to keep it on that, do a quick search. And there we go, 21 people were found. Okay, now I'm going to show you a similar way of doing this through the communications icon, which is like this megaphone here. So I've got to mention, every time I click on any of these icons at the top, they will bring up all the subcategories here on the left-hand side. So with communications, there's three main methods of communications within Volunteer Impact. That's email, text messaging, and you can do a mail out. You can do that in mass, filtered groups, which I'll show you shortly, or just to individuals from their profile. So let's send an email. Once I select send email, again, I can pick and choose which status I like to email. I'm going to choose all my accepted volunteers. What I'm going to do now, if I just press search, it's going to bring up a list of all them accepted volunteers. However, I'm going to add a search criteria. So let's say, similar to Pam's kind of story there, let's say someone's couldn't make it a last minute on an activity that was, let's say, over the weekend. So I just need to quickly see all my volunteers that are available on weekends only. Okay, so all I need to do, I'm presented with this drop-down menu, and you can see so much here. I can filter down and search for, you know, qualifications, activities, custom fields, contact information. However, we're looking for weekend availability. So I'm just going to choose the general availability tab there, and there we go. So all I need to do, as we're looking for weekends only, check Saturday and Sunday, add and go. So I've added that filter, and it's brought back the search of 28 people. Okay. So again, you can use an email template, or you can start from scratch. You can add in, as I said, the first name or last name placeholder. So when the recipient receives that email, it's a bit more personalized. Here we go. Here's all the, these are our email templates that we've saved. Even things like monthly newsletters you can do. Once you put your email in, you've got some boxes here. You can make it, is it high priority, normal, low? Do I need a read receipt? CC me in. Which modules it for? It's also for volunteer. And then send the email out. And that's going to go out to them 28 people. Now, if this is a group of people that I will generally communicate with quite often, maybe I have a lot of activities that do happen over the weekends, I would like to save this search so I haven't got to redo this all the time. Again, this is saving time on your behalf. All I need to do, check the save, give it a name, weekend only. Now, all I need to do is check that box that says pin search and save. And what I've done is I've created basically a shortcut. So our pin searches will appear on your dashboard here. So this is it, all ones I've made up. So applicants for administration, qualified for information booth. So applicants or, you know, volunteers that are qualified for particular activities, volunteers with driving license, and there we go. I've got weekend availability. Now these pin searches are unique to FE Administrator as well. So when I log in, I'll only see my pin searches, my other colleagues, they'll only see their saved pin searches as well. And I update in real time as well. So if anyone's been added to that list after you've created it, there we go, it's been updated. Excellent. So we've seen some pin searches. I'm going to head over now to the configuration icon. So this is where you'll probably focus or spend most of your time when you're using and configuring the software here. So on the left-hand side, this is where you do add your branding. You'll add your custom fields, your qualifications. I'll just show you a list of the custom fields that we created. You would have seen most of these on the application form. However, custom fields ain't just used for the application process. You've got unlimited custom fields you can use throughout the entirety of using Better Impact, just to collect that data and that information from your volunteers. There we go. As you see, we've got them in the About You category. What languages can you speak? You can see the type of answers and the permissions, and so on. And the same with qualifications. And here is also where you'll add your activities as well. So when you create your activities, you can add as much information as you like. You can add images into the description, so it gives the applicants and the volunteers some more info into that. You can even manipulate who sees which activities based on qualifications as well, which is really good. And I'll show you more on that when we go on to the volunteer profile. You can assign volunteers as well. Like you say, you can, if you have got volunteers that, you know, are not using the My Impact page due to maybe their IT skills, or maybe they're in an area where there's not great Wi-Fi connection, you can do everything on a volunteer's behalf. You can assign them in bulk as well, even log their hours. And then you've got the reporting section. So again, this is one of Pam's favorites. So again, once we click on the reporting icon, here on the left-hand side, brings up all them subcategories. So I could do hours by volunteer, for example. I can select it over any date range as well. So let's do last year. View report. And there we go. Bring up in a chart format. So starts with at the top with the volunteer with the most hours, right through to the bottom of the least. And then at the bottom, it does give you total hours, number of volunteers, and average per volunteer. You've got all sorts of different kind of graphs and formats in the reporting section as well. So you've got an hours trend. View report, you can go over any time period. And there we go. We've got this in a kind of bar chart format. We've got number of volunteers, hours volunteered, and average per volunteer. One of my personal favourites is the under general reports, the personal profile raw data. So what this means is you can actually make up your own bespoke reports as well. So you can choose, again, your back to this filtering page. I'm just going to choose F1 accepted. What I'm going to do is press search. There's all the list of all my accepted volunteers at the top there. And then on here, I can pick and choose what I like to put a report on as well. So by default, it does check the first name and last name. But I can add whatever I want on here as well. So let's just add some home number, work number, cell phone. The custom fields. So again, I'm just going to select some random ones. You can just check this box to select them all. Speak English, group information with references. And then the qualifications next. I'm just picking some random ones. General availability, let's say Monday through to Friday. You do hours logged and other settings. And then all I need to do, view profiles. And there we go, it's brought up all that information of what I've selected. And you just scroll sideways to see that information. And all these reports I'm showing you, by the way, you can export to CSV and Excel as well. Brilliant, back up to the top. I'm going to show you what a volunteer profile looks like. So in this kind of top right section here, all you need to do is click on this little person icon, start typing the name of your volunteer. So I'm going to use Veronica Smith. As soon as you start typing, the system will start to match what you're typing, so you haven't got to put the full name all the time. There's Veronica Smith. Click on it. So it's a similar looking profile to what we saw with Will Balderson as the applicant, but Veronica is our accepted volunteer. So again, on here, you can see there's a profile picture, there's some contact information and history. There's a bar graph underneath showing all the hours Veronica's contributed over each month. You can hover over each month to see the hours. There's also a pie chart showing you where her hours have been contributed towards which activity. And this is a really cool feature, is the badges. So you can award badges to your volunteers as signs of recognition and awards. These could be things like hours, achievements, anniversaries, qualifications, and feedback fields as well. And if I go across here, if I just want to communicate with Veronica, click on the communications tab. I can send an email. I can use I can use a template if needs be. Then send an email, and I'll just go to Veronica. I can send Veronica a text. So as I mentioned, you will be able to text using the software as well. Just two things to point out with the texting feature. It's only a one-way communication, so you can send texts to volunteers, but they won't be able to reply. And secondly, all volunteers will have the option, if they do not opt in, to receive the SMS service as well. I can send Veronica a personal message. So if I just want to say thanks, you know, for coming in at last minute to help out an activity, put it in here, save, and what that's doing is that's creating that personal message on on the Veronica's My Impact page dashboard as well, which we'll go to shortly. There's an email history for every volunteer as well. It logs the dates, the subjects, and from which administrator sent it. And there's a note log as well. So you can record any notes towards this volunteer. Again, this is only for admin eyes only, so Veronica will not be able to see any of these notes. And then you can assign Veronica to some activities. You can see her schedule, what she has up and coming. I can see that in a list. I can even see that in a calendar format, which I'll be able to email to Veronica or print off for Veronica as well. I can see her hours logged. I can do some reporting on just Veronica as well. Now back to the main tab underneath here. I can see all of Veronica's contact information. I can see all her custom fields. So again, this is all her information that she's filled in, whether it was on the application form or just any custom fields that you would have created, whether that's filled in by yourself or by the volunteer. Qualifications. General interests, general availability. Excellent. So what I'm going to show now, because I know we're short on time, I'm going to show you what it's like from the volunteer experience. So this is the My Impact page account. So obviously this is the desktop version. However, that My Impact page account is also app-based, so your volunteers can download it for free on any Android or iPhone device and use it on the go. So when I've logged in, again, I'm now Veronica Smith. I've logged into My Impact page, and this is what I'm presented with. So this is my dashboard. There we go. I can see my profile picture. You're going to see a lot of similar information that we saw from the volunteer profile in the admin portal. There's my badges. There's a social media feed again, which you'll be able to upload. And of course, as you've probably noticed already, you will be able to brand this to your organization as well. There's an image gallery. This is supported by Flickr feed. There's that personal message that I mentioned that you'll be able to send Veronica, and this will be displayed here. Now there's a separate news feed. So you've got that news feed on the public page that I showed at the very beginning. However, you've also got another news feed you can display on the My Impact page, and all volunteers that log in will see this. There's your mission statement again. And another feature that we've got, I think Pam mentioned it before as well, is called a document library, which is a really cool feature. So you'll be able to store kind of any online files into this document library. These could be things like waiver forms, policies, and you can also choose whether you like these to be accessed and displayed to volunteers as well. If that's the case, then they'll be able to gain access to them files here. Back up to the top. So, as Veronica Smith, I would like to see what opportunities or I can come in. I can see this in a list or a calendar format. So I just choose the calendar. There we go. So these are all the upcoming activities. Now, again, depending on your visibility and automation, when you create an activity, like I say, you can manipulate who sees what, depending on qualifications as well. So, for example, if you've got an activity that needs a DBS background check, and I haven't got that as a volunteer, I won't even be able to see it on my calendar to sign up for, unless I have got that qualification. You know, I'm good to go. So all I need to do, select an activity I want to put myself forward for. Again, this is based upon a museum, so information booth attendant. There's all the information about the activity. As I mentioned, you can upload pictures, put in some more blurb and information about the activity, when the activity generally occurs on, and I can sign up there. And I'll sign up to the activity. Nice and simple. I can see my own schedule. So everything I've got up and coming. Now this tab, the hours tab, is where I can log my hours. So let's say I've just come back from an activity. Let's say it was the information booth attendant. Choose that one. I put in the date I volunteered, the hours I've contributed along with the minutes. And you will be able to create feedback fields within the software as well. You can do that under the configuration icon suite of the software. And it's just there just to gather any feedback you need to from any volunteer once they've carried out a shift. You haven't got to have them all the time, but if you do add feedback fields to the activity, they will pop up here and prompt me to fill in that feedback. So again, I could have things like number fields as the answer. I can have drop-down menus, a long text box, and there's another drop-down menu. And once I've saved, all this information, the hours log, the feedback fields, all feeds back into the admin profile for you to report on if needs be. I can see reports. This is just for my own information. Contact. So if I do need to contact an administrator, I can pick and choose which one. Put the message in the box and send the email. And then you've got my profile. So here I can see my contact information, my additional info, which is all them custom fields I would have filled in, my qualifications. And another cool feature we have is called e-learning modules. So you'll be able to create this e-learning content for your volunteers to take. You could add images into these e-learning modules, GIFs, videos backed up by Vimeo and YouTube. You can set like, you can add in as much information as you like, and you can set like a little quiz as well with pre-populated questions and answers, along with, you know, your whatever kind of passing score they need, and just give an idea of what one looks like. And let's go to training hand hygiene, review. There we go. So we added GIFs into this one. So we brought this out just on the cusp of the COVID outbreak, you know, the 30-second hand wash. And all we've done is we just select, I think we just added a couple of questions at the bottom. You can also attach qualifications to these as well, and you will be notified as an administrator as of when a volunteer has completed their e-learning module. All right, so now that you've heard Pam's story and learned a little bit about volunteer impact, I'll now share with you Better Impact's background. So our story, so Better Impact started by fluke, funny enough. So our CEO's Tony, our CEO who's called Tony, had this passion project of building a web-based volunteer management software solution for a residential hospice that he founded. Then that gave birth to the beginnings of a global We're Here to Help company. We're 20 plus years old now and growing. We're a small company, but we have a global impact. We have offices here in UK, Canada, USA and Australia. However, we have customers all over the globe. We specialise in not just volunteer management software, Volunteer Impact, which you've seen today. However, we are also providers of donor, client and member solutions that all integrate with Volunteer Impact. And lastly, we are a We're Here to Help company.